Yo, what's up? Very big news today, and they're even bigger than the announcement of the jet plane release, because today we received the list of BR changes for the upcoming update that will be released either next Tuesday or a bit later. How do I know that? Well, because today also the test server was made online, where you can test all of these changes I'm going to tell you now. Though, as usual, it's not really worth your time, because any grind you get on the test server doesn't transfer over to your main account. And also, it's quite a lot of work, so yeah, you don't need to waste your time on that. Instead, you can just wait the 4 days until, or 5 days until Tuesday. And if there are no problems with all of the stuff that was already finished and completed for the upcoming update, then the release will be likely on Tuesday. If there are problems, it will be a little bit delayed, but if not, then no. Also, there aren't that many changes actually, so very good for us. So, here is the BR change list. Now, it's also linked under the video, so I recommend to click on the list so you can look at it. Problem is, they didn't include it in the changelog, so we can't nicely look at it at the same time. They uploaded it as a file, though they already edited some mistakes, so that also has an advantage if it's not an image but a file that you can edit in real time. Now, the first thing you will see is the update overall is, like, the BR changes are highly Soviet biased, highly anti-Axis biased, and yeah, for Americans and Japanese they're fine, but this is the biggest theme of the update. It's extremely biased, which is, it's not even funny. It's not even funny because it's just dumb and omits a lot of things. So I'm gonna, as the title already implies of the video, half of the update is great and the other half is total ass. Because apparently GAIJIN can't release an update without fucking things up. Like, why not just make good things? Why always make good things and then mix in bad things? It's literally just fucking stupid. But whatever. So, first of all, let's look at the Soviet changes. Now, the most notable thing here is some of the most overpowered weapons got buffed. Yes, because the RD-44 got improved. Alright, this was already a very good weapon, now it got improved even further. Keep in mind, this is basically a Cold War weapon. It's like an extremely rare prototype that was basically not used. I think 1 or 2 were built or whatever, so yeah, but I don't really care about that. But still, the weapon was already really good, and then it got made even better. No, that's fine, but I mean, it's BR5 anyway. And the MG42 is still much better, so it's okay. But here's the actual problem. The Fedorov rifle, which was for the most time of Enlisted's existence the usually strongest weapon in the game, or holder of the title, and now it gets plus 10 damage. And here's another theme that we get, and it's that the reasons for those changes are also quite ass. because if you listen to what the reasons for them are, alright, if this gets plus 10, it can one-shot Vitality soldiers at close distance. Yeah, guess what? This is very overpowered. The problem with Fedorov is it's an assault rifle. Well, this is actually just a normal rifle, but it's classified as an assault rifle, so every assaulter can carry it. And it's literally an assault rifle with stats of a full power rifle of BR5. Like, this weapon now officially is the strongest rifle in the game. Like, with the 10% damage buff, it's just ridiculous. So yeah, this was, no one asked for it. The official reason is, yeah, because of the cartridge and blah blah. Yeah, whatever, dude. If this metric isn't applied to all the other weapons too. It's literally just applied for a few selected weapons that got buffed. Yeah, this dude also doesn't understand it, but he's happy about the Soviet bias because he's gonna use the weapon now. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so this is the first thing. Then the AVT, AVSs also got a bunch of improvements and so on. Now, the first really good thing is PPD 40 gets down tiered it is this thing. And it's basically a slower firing PPSH, also a better looking PPSH arguably. Yep, it makes sense that it's BR4 because it's literally just well, like it's 75 rounds, yeah. It's overall good, but the damage is very low. Damage is very low, it's very precise, yeah, but still it's not that, I mean it's not comparable to assault rifles in BR5, and it's going to be a good and strong and fun BR4 weapon. The thing in general was BR4 was quite empty, and now lots of things get remixed, so that's quite fine. I won't go into detail for every weapon now because otherwise this will take 2 hours. I'm just going to say the most important things, and then the things that were not touched, which should absolutely have been touched, and which I hope, though my hopes are quite low, that they will be quickly changed before the update, because there's still 5 days time. Now, next we get Su-85M. This is the tank destroyer. Alright, good, because this thing literally, it has basically the IS-1 or similar cannon, but a much worse body. Like overall, like, yeah, it was completely illogical for this thing to be on BR5. Now it gets downranked. Okay, good. IS-1 also gets downranked. This was something many people asked for. The problem is it's going to be possibly the strongest BR4 tank, because if you compare it to the German Panther, it's not even close. The IS-1 is insanely stronger, but it was way too weak for BR5. And here's the possibly biggest takeaway of the video. How can we objectively, meaning logically, and objectively right, meaning in a way that it's absolutely right, determine whether something should be up-tiered or down-tiered? Very simple. If you look at a BR, look at, like, every item within the BR tier can be sorted from left to right to weakest and strongest. Obviously everything in between shouldn't be up or down tiered, but the absolutely strongest items sometimes should be up tiered, and the absolutely weakest, lowest items in a BR list or BR tier could and sometimes should be down tiered. Because obviously if something is so weak that it's completely not played or ridiculously underplayed, then it would make more sense to lower it so it can actually be played, though it shouldn't be instantly overpowered in the new lower tier. Now the good thing is, if something is very weak at the higher tier, it usually won't even be at the absolutely strongest. It will just be a good item but not overpowered. So that's fine. Now the actual problem comes up if something is very strong in a lower tier. If you up tier it, it oftentimes becomes very weak. Because here's the fun part. Among other changes, the German Panzer Trienne, which is possibly the biggest or the most famous change of them all, is going to be up tiered to BR3, and this is exactly what I was talking about just now. Panzer Trienne is the strongest, overall strongest tank in BR2 out of all nations. Also quite easy to use. So yep, it fits perfectly the definition of an item that should be up tiered. But it also explains why this up tiering mechanism is a problem, and it's not symmetrical. As I said, things that are down tiered, they usually go in fine. They will be strong in the lower tier but not overpowered. But if something gets up tiered, it usually will be very underpowered. And this is exactly the problem with the Panzer Trienne. It will compete with, well, Panzer, well, the weak, it will compete with STUGS 3F. Alright, these are, by the way, 2 extra items because they should be down tiered. I'm going to talk about it a bit later. But the normal tanks in Panzer 3 are Panzer 4 F2, which is similar armor to the Panzer Trienne, but infinitely better cannon. And then Panzer 4G, which is infinitely better armor and infinitely better cannon. And Panzer 4J, which is even better than that. And now, down tier, Panzer 4H, which is even better because it also has the side skirts. Now keep in mind, it's not that much better than the Panzer 4J, so it's fine. But still, you see, Panzer Trienne turns from being overpowered or the way strongest item in its BR to the instantly weakest item. Yeah, now in order to mitigate this, it's going to get better heat shells. People who looked at the GAIJIN War Thunder code showed that the heat shells will be very likely, there's only 2 heat shells it can get, and the current model has 85mm penetration maximum, and the new model will have 115. Now what does it mean? It means it theoretically can one-shot your KV-1s and your T-34s, though keep in mind that especially the KV-1, since it's so ridiculously big and has 5 crew members, can survive shots like these, because you're just going to blow up a part of the tank but not the whole tank. So yeah, but still, the up tier of the Panzer IIIN is, yeah, we're going to see. If the heat shell is really, really good, then I would say it's okay. But if it's too weak, then you literally made a tank useless. Now the other important thing to include in this evaluation process is, even if you make an item unplayable while removing it, you might still have improved the game overall, because now you removed an overpowered item that just ruined balance. Alright, this could be an argument. This could actually be an argument, and this is overall the only argument that really stands to up tier Panzer IIIN to be a 3. So if that's the argument, it's fine, okay. Though from a playability argument, yeah, Panzer IIIN becomes very weak. The only logic I see for everyone who still wants to play it is that it's quite fast and has a very fast reload, much faster than Panzer IV's. So it's 53 versus the new King, which is at 38. So if you want to play 2 tanks in BR3, you can now play the strongest German tank, Panzer IV-H, as your main battle tank. And then you can play the Panzer IIIN as a fast little flanking tank to quickly get the enemy, and also to use it mostly against infantry, and the Panzer IV-H against other tanks. Yeah, this could be cool, but besides that, yeah, it will be quite underpowered now. Now, for other changes, we get, well, also for the Soviets, we get the, well, Yak-9T, which, here's the big thing. 1 year ago, after the merge, when I was grinding the Soviets to finish the stuff, I played it a few games, and it was actually fun, because if you hit an enemy, you can one-shot Panthers from the top. Also theoretically Tigers, though you need to hit it very perfectly, and it flies quite well, and it's not too hard to aim with it. So yeah, it's quite fun to blow up enemy tanks with this thing, though besides that it's not really good, because if there's no enemy tank on the ground, it's a useless plane, because you can't affect the ground in a proper way. Also, we don't get information about which shells they are here. If it's only armor-piercing shells and not explosive shells, then they're even worse. So yeah, this, but yeah, for BR4, planes like these should never be so high, because it's literally useless. It's only good as a secondary plane. You can't even play it properly as a primary plane. So having this plane down tiered now is good. It's really good. Also, there's a similar plane, there's a premium plane that has this almost the same. That's also BR3. So that's quite fine too. Then the PTRS gets down to BR1, which is great. There are very few actually good anti-tank rifles in the game. And in order to be good, you need to be semi-auto. If you're not semi-auto, you're ridiculously slow and literally unplayable. And the PTRS was one of my favorite Soviet weapons overall. And I'm very happy to actually play BR1 in the future. Keep in mind, this update actually improved BR1 for multiple nations. Like, the Soviets now have a really fun and cool weapon on BR1. And the Americans, as you will find out, also will get a very, very spicy BR1 down tier. And of course a few well, premium squads get improved, which in general should be done, because there are so many premium squads that are just 1 BR too high. And yeah, I mean, literally, why? Like, the people who bought it, mostly before the merge, are unhappy because now they have unplayable squads, and the people who might want to buy these squads are also unhappy because they're unplayable and not worth buying. So, and also GAIJIN doesn't get any money. So in the interest of everyone, premium squads should be BR'd in a way that people actually want to have them. Even if they're a bit overpowered, doesn't matter, because the tech tree is full of with overpowered stuff. The argument that people say, oh no, premium squad shouldn't be overpowered, otherwise it's pay to win. But there's already more than enough overpowered stuff in the tech tree. There's literally no reason to there's literally no reason to buy any premium squads. You can already have optimal setups with just the tech tree stuff. So this argument also doesn't count. And I'm very happy to see things like Fedorov MG or Beltfeld things to be improved. Yeah. Also, where is it? Yeah, Beltfeld DP. Look at the squad. The squad looks quite cool, but the weapon itself just sucks. Why should anyone play something like this with an insanely slow fire rate if you get the Maxim Tokarev, which is just ridiculously better for free? Yeah, you see, this is why it doesn't make any sense at all. Yeah, there are some advantages of the squad, but yeah, like the weapons are just, yeah, they're so weak, they absolutely required some improvements. Now, for the Soviets, overall, quite good changes. And keep in mind, they will get the overpowered new semi-auto rifle for BR2. So the Soviets become possibly the strongest BR2 nation now. Overall, possibly even overall the strong. Yeah, Soviets could be, after the change, after the update, the strongest nation enlisted, if you just count at how many BRs they are the strongest. Well, Germany will be the strongest in BR5, mostly thanks to the King Tiger and some other things, but the Soviets ridiculously dominate tier 2 now. Yeah, they ridiculously dominate tier 2, and possibly even, yeah, like tier 1, tier 3, and tier 4 now with the IS-1. Yeah, it's just, Soviet bias very strong. Now, for those who think, oh, so many power creeps, let's give us some nerfs. Well, here come the nerfs, because now we talk about the Germans. And this is literally entering full retard territory. First, Junkers 188, everyone's favorite medium heavy bomber. Now this plane, it was for the longest time the biggest booty bomber in the game with its 6 heavy bombs. Yeah, cool. It was BR4. Now it gets up tier to BR5. This would have been logical 1 year ago, but here's the problem. This plane doesn't have anything to shoot. You cannot shoot any of those guns manually to the front. You can only control one of them backwards. That's it. So you literally have to rely on your bots to hit something in the sky, which is a situation you never want to be in, because they barely hit anything, because they're nerfed on purpose. Meaning, most of the time, you will be shot down easily, especially if the enemy pilot knows what to do and how to aim. So you're literally a flying brick. You cannot outmaneuver any plane with these stupid stats, and you cannot even protect yourself against competent pilots. All you can do is literally just drop 6 heavy bombs. Now, there's a Soviet plane, yes, the nation that gets insanely overpowered with this update, that has a very similar plane, also with 6 heavy bombs, but it gets 2 autocannons in the front that you can use to shoot down enemy planes. And it gets very good, for such a heavy bomber, very good flying characteristics. So this is an insanely much better version than the Junkers 188. So yeah, you see, this is just, up-tiering it doesn't make much sense. It's just nerfing Germany and buffing the Soviets, relatively speaking, because now all the Soviets in tier 4 have it even easier. Keep in mind, don't do the mistake of comparing different tiers, because when people, for example, talk about tier 2, they say, oh yeah, let this be this tier 2 tank compared to another tier 3 tank, Yeah, for example, when people talk about the Panzer, or let's say the mistake someone would do is to say, oh, Panzer tank T-28, how does it compare to a T-34? Yeah, it's much worse. And how does it compare to an enemy tier 1 tank? You see, it doesn't make any sense what I'm saying, but this is exactly how people try to argue. But if they try to distort an argument, or if they themselves are confused, which is sadly the norm for enlisted online players, they start completely talking out of their asses and trying to argue across multiple BRs. No, this is not how you compare things. You need to compare exactly within its BR. It doesn't matter if it can queue against other BRs, because it literally doesn't change anything regarding the argument. You only compare it within its own BR. If you start making other comparisons, you just include more data. Yeah, but this doesn't really, but basically never changes the value of the argument itself. So yeah, people need to stop doing this. It's just nonsense. And when I read the main post on the forum, I've seen this a couple of times, and you see, okay, people never learned to think, well, coherent. But okay, so yeah, this Junkers 188 up tier, yeah, it's another nerf for Germany, obviously, because the Junkers 188 is literally not a BR5 weapon. It's not a BR5. It's a good BR4, but not a good BR5 weapon. And most importantly, well, there's still one reason to play it, and it's to use it as a paratrooper squad with bombs, because you have 5 soldiers. Yep. This is good, though almost no player knows that, especially not new players, and even fewer players can actually pull it off. Like, I've literally never seen anyone do it or talk about it before I started doing it 2 years ago, and talking about it in every second of my videos. Then people started doing it too, but you really need to practice it, and that's the only way this plane is even remotely good anymore. So yeah, this is just a very, very, well, not that good change for Germany. Then, something actually good for Germany, the Kirali gets down tiered. Okay, I've seen people complain about it because it's apparently the best SMG in the game. In paper, in theory, it could be called the best SMG in the game. Problem is, it handles much worse than it actually looks. Like, the stats look very good, especially upgraded, but if you look at if you actually try it out yourself, you will notice it. Yep, it's, by the way, where's the Junkers? Here it is. Yeah, like, the stats look really, really good, but it simply doesn't perform that good. Simply doesn't perform that well because, among other things, it has some insanely high shot deviation. And the recoil, although looking nice, combined with the high fire rate and the quite low recoil control, makes it hard to hit your targets on medium range. And long range, it's even useless. So the weapon isn't that good. So downgrading it to BR4, I think, is quite fine. Nothing wrong with it. Then the Beretta with 40 rounds gets down to BR3. Yep, makes sense because this weapon was just, yeah, come on. Like, it's slow. It has 40 rounds. It's very precise regarding the recoil. Yep, that's good, but that's all it has. So yeah, downgrading it to BR3 is actually interesting because now you can, yeah, now you can actually start doing interesting combos. Like, you can dual wield the ZK with the Beretta, or you can just equip different soldiers with different weapons, whatever. The weapons are so heterogenic now for Germany that you can actually start doing interesting combos. Also, some people pointed out the problem of, yes, you can see how long I have to scroll, how much slop Germany has in its SMG section, which is obviously bad for new players because you need to grind for weeks and months just to get a couple of new SMGs. Yeah, especially for BR2, especially for new players who want to play BR2, you obviously need to get to the MP40, which is by far the best BR2 SMG for Germany. But you will have to grind a long time until you reach the MP40. Other nations don't have the problem, especially not the Soviets. So having so much stuff isn't actually that good. It would be better if it was all in folders, but yeah, whatever. And some people also claim the nonsense of, oh no, Germany is so stacked, it has so many choices. This is not an argument, because having many bad choices isn't stacked. Stacked means you have lots of power. But it doesn't matter how many good weapons you have, since you can only play one weapon at a time, or maximum two on one soldier. So it doesn't matter if Germany had 50 different weapons on BR2. The only thing that matters is the best of them, or the second best as well. And yeah, the MP40 being the best is definitely not Germany being stacked. Because the Soviets will be insanely stacked on BR2. Also, they get a new weapon on BR2, as already announced. The Americans will be very stacked, because they get a Thompson to BR2, down-tiered. Ironically enough, the relatively best Thompson even. And the Japanese always had really good weapons. Yeah, so Germany likely becomes the worst BR2 SMG nation now, with its iconic MP40, ironically enough. Yeah, you see Germany really gets fucked in this update. Now, the only real power move Germany gets here is the Panzer IV-H, as I already said. At BR3, really good. Really good. Because the side skirts actually work against stuff like bazookas. They work against anti-tank rifles. The side skirts are really, really strong. Also, this is, by the definition I made in the beginning of the video, this is a highly logical down ranking, because in tier 4, the Panzer IV-H was absolutely unplayable. Because you have the Panthers, which are, just look at the stats, yeah? Infinitely better. The cannon is much better, with its much better penetration. And the armor is like insanely better. Yeah, like this. And the Panther is even faster. And in real life, the Panther was also better than the Panzer IV-H, because it was a much better tank with very similar production costs. Like, it didn't make any sense at all to still produce Panzer IVs. Well, obviously the production capacities were there, the factories were there, and if you can't transform them to Panther production, yeah, you still keep producing them. But overall, Panther was infinitely better, as it is also in Enlisted. So yeah, Panzer IV-H going down to BR3, where it doesn't compete with the Panthers anymore, is really good. And it's now the best BR3 tank for Germany, yes, but it's very similar to Panzer IV-J. So it doesn't really matter that it got downranked, it's still really good. Then, well, another big offender of Germany suffers. This is officially the Germany suffers update. Yeah, I literally never used the word before in my life, I think, because I don't care if a faction gets fucked a little bit in an update, because as long as over the course of a year everything holds balance, I'm fine with it. Because it's called fluctuation. You can't expect perfect equilibrium every single update. This wouldn't make sense. But so I don't really mind some extreme variance, but this is extreme variance, because Germany gets another important plane completely cucked, and it's the Bf-110 G2. Yes, the famous one with the 37mm autocannon and the 30mm cannons. Now this plane was really famous for being very fun to use, because it strafes the ground, and these are all high explosive shells, and they just blow up infantry. And 37mm autocannons create quite a big explosion radius, so this was very fun to just use against infantry on the ground. And it had 4 rockets that, though despite being quite hard to aim with, since they're on the wings, you see here on the wings, you could theoretically also hit tanks. And if you hit the tank perfectly, it also dies. So in theory, a good plane, though not that strong overall, because against enemy planes you're very bad positioned, since your bullets fly, your autocannon shells are so slow, your aiming assist doesn't help. And even if you know how to aim, it's still very hard to hit targets. So against enemy planes it was very bad. So it was basically a hyper special specialized anti-infantry plane, which significantly reduces the way you can use it. You always had to combine it with another plane that can actually kill enemy planes and kill enemy tanks. So it's a secondary plane at best. Yeah, it's a secondary plane. Same thing as the Junkers, it's just a secondary plane. You still always need a plane that can actually do the plane work. Now this one got up tier to BR-4. And the official reason is, oh, it has strong rockets. It has the strongest rockets in the game. Yeah, so what? Yeah, come on. The thing is also, these cannons, actually, or at least one of them, should be able to penetrate tanks, but it was never capable of. It was always bugged. Yeah, there were some times when it could, but then it was also over-penetrating, which did also bug. So basically, these cannons aren't even working the way they should work. Since this plane came into existence, it was always not really effective as it should be. And even this nerfed state of the plane gets up-tiered. Yeah, I mean, let's put it, it's a very unfun decision. And honestly, it doesn't make much sense because the plane isn't really that strong. If you take the maximum potential of the plane, yes, it's good. But it's very good in like 5%, 10% of the cases. The remaining 90% it just is weak and underpowered. Especially comparing it to something like the P-51D. The overall strongest plane in BR-3. Yeah, like I'd rather have this than the G2. Even on BR-4 I'd rather have this. But yeah, you see, like, this update just fucks Germany a bit too hard. It's really, really biased. Alright, then things like the Focke-Wulf 90A2 get down tier to balance things a little bit up. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Now the Romanian plane gets up tiered from BR-1 to BR-2. This is reasonable. Yeah, this is this is reasonable because this plane had 2 strong studs. It's made of paper, so it's very easy to kill, but still it just has insane offensive power, so it's fair to bring it up to BR-2. Nothing wrong with that. What's a problem though is that the very much beloved Luftfaust, the late war alleged anti-air Panzerfaust version, which has, I think, yeah, it has 9 20mm rockets that you can shoot at the sky at a plane and shoot it down, in theory. Now, there's a big misconception about this weapon. People like to call it a mysterious, super rare wonder, high-tech wonder weapon. Nope, it's not. It's literally just the let's put it this way. It's the Volkssturm equivalent of a actually good anti-air weapon. It looks futuristic for World War II, yes, but that's all it does. It's a very low quality weapon because you will never hit a plane with it. Never. Especially not if you're a Volkssturm soldier who's fighting in a city where planes won't fly even as low as in the rural areas. So it's even harder for you to hit something. And a normal soldier would need dozens of hours of intense practice, possibly hundreds of hours, to actually be able to hit, but obviously Volkssturm soldiers didn't have that. They received something like 5 to 10 hour training. So this was a completely impractical thing. Though multiple 10,000 were produced and used, and not a single plane was shot down. Not a single one. And if it had happened, it would have been made it would have made news around all of Germany. So yeah, but this thing was used very often, obviously, since the use of the ammunition was documented. Now, what did people use it against? Against soft targets, against trucks, against soft fortified positions. And I guess if you think you're about to die, you don't have anything else to do, you also will try to shoot it against a tank. I guess smart fighters would have used it against the tracks of a tank, because if you blow up those, you're actually bringing a advance to a standstill. So yeah, it still had use. Now, why do I explain all of this? Because this thing is stuck in BR-5 for absolutely low IQ retarded reasons. And now it's going to be generously by Uncle GAIJIN downranked to BR4. Now, what the fuck is this? This is absolutely retarded. Like, this doesn't change anything. This doesn't change absolutely nothing. The weapon is still unplayable. The only way to make it playable is to downrank it to BR2, where you can actually shoot at tanks, and you, in 50% of the time, if you're up against a weak tank and you're lucky, you will be able to kill a tank. And you can possibly hit a very slow, weak BR2 plane or BR1 plane with it, yes. And you can also blow up some fortifications in low BR, yes, but that's it. In BR3 it's even impossible to hit. Do you think you can hit a Mustang with it? Or any of the Soviet planes in BR3? Of course not. Like, this thing should be fucking down tier to BR2 and not BR4. It's ridiculous. And I'm saying BR2 because I know, here's the problem with Darkflow. The person, like, there's no one competent person who plays the game and understands the game. Because if it takes the game for 1.5 years after the merge to do a rebalancing that should have been done over 1 year ago, you know there's no one who fucking understands the stuff. And no, collecting data and collecting opinions is not how you design games. Like, the game designers should understand how to design the game and not be fucking reliant on external data. And this thing, you see, literally, no one at Darkflow or GAIJIN now has fucking understanding or experience. Now, I've seen the lowbrow argument, oh, this is a late war weapon, so it should be BR5. Okay, motherfucker. Then why the fuck is this Kriegsmodel from late 1944 in BR1? Or why is the FNAP, that's also late war, in BR2? Like this, and there are other examples, yeah? There are other examples like this. So, yeah, like people need to stop yep out of their ass. It's just, no, the power level of the Luftwaffe is so fucking low, it needs to be down tiered. And it's sad because the weapon is very fun and could be very cool to play, but it's literally, yeah, it's one of the coolest and most unique weapons in the game, but you literally can't use it properly. Alright. Now we get some other cool things like STG gets down tiered, like the premium STG 45 gets down tiered. Yep, I don't even know where it is. I guess somewhere here in the shop. Now, yep, like this weapon is literally fucking slow. The weapon is so ridiculous. Come on, 450? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Yep, this is literally just a tier 4 assault rifle. It's going to be BR4 now. Keep in mind, assault rifles aren't automatically BR5. There actually are very weak assault rifles, like the Gold Order MKB. I don't have it here, I have it somewhere equipped, but it's a weak assault rifle, which is good, because it's cool to place all types of weapons across all BRs. So this STG-45, as also the MKB-42, need to be BR4. Now, problem is the MKB wasn't downranked. Yep, this is another thing GAIJIN needs to fucking do, downrank the MKB. It's also literally way too weak and too slow. And yeah, like the smart thing would have been, as I recommended, make it more precise than the others. So you have 3 completely distinct different weapons. You could have the very fast STG, you could have the slow but very precise MKB, and then you have the medium version. So everyone can play a reasonable weapon to his own likings. This would be the smart game design. Nope, instead we get two completely useless weapons because one weapon is strictly better than the others in everything. Yeah, like this is another useless thing. By the way, there's one good thing though. If you like to play Panzer IIIN in BR2, you can still do it because the Stalingrad version will still be in BR2. Why? Because it has a little bit worse armor and it will have worse shells because it doesn't get the improved heat shells. So yep, overall it makes sense to keep it in BR2 because it's also very rare. It's also very rare, so people can't really complain about it. It's quite fine. So much for the Germans. Now the biggest problem, the biggest omission is why aren't the German STUGS not downranked? I wanted to make a separate video about it, maybe I will in detail, but here's the short version. When was the last time you saw STUGS? Exactly never. When was the last time you saw Armada? Exactly never. And now for the extra rare cases, when was the last time you saw a Jagdpanzer or any of the Jagdpanzer versions? Literally never ever. Now this is by definition unplayable slop. Like these in BR4, unplayable slop. Completely unplayable compared to Panthers. This thing in BR5, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Completely ridiculous. Like, complete joke. And they were not, by the way, this thing is worse than the Soviet equivalent that got downranked from BR5. What the fuck? Because this thing has similar armor, but a much better cannon. A much better cannon. So you see, this is just completely biased because there was some idiot doing these changes, and these changes were obviously omitted. Like the German tanks obviously not adjusted. Like the STUGS are the perfect definition of completely unplayable in their BRs and very fine in lower BRs, because even though they have strong cannons for BR2 in case they get down tiered, they don't have a turret, so they're very hard to use. They have very limited ammunition. Just look at this, by the way. 87 shells versus 44. And the thing is, half HE, half anti-tank shells. Now let's say you don't see any tanks. You're shelling your HE shells. Alright, after 22 shells, you're out of HE shells. Now you can't do anything anymore. Yep, so this is very weak, completely unplayable in BR2, and absolutely deserves to completely unplayable in BR3, and absolutely deserves to be in BR2. Like, absolutely. Same thing goes for the two premium versions. There's the STUG 3G. That's a little bit better than the Tech 3 version. Can also go to BR2. It would be a really good strong BR2 tank, but still the fact that it doesn't have a turret highly limits it. Highly limits it. You can't do much. You're not flexible with it. On many maps, due to the low profile, you can't even properly shoot across the area. Yeah. Also the short STUG with the short 75, which is currently BR2, needs to be downranked to BR1 because it's insanely useless on BR2. Yeah, where I bought them all. I can speak out of experience. I can literally speak out of experience. It's just these things are just there. Here's the short STUG. Completely unplayable on BR2. Like, they are literally BR1 tanks with similar stats. There's a Panzer 3J on BR1 that is straight up a better tank than this. Like, come on. What the fuck? And of course, the STUG 3G. Like, if this was a BR2 tank, it would be instantly one of the most sold premium squads in Enlisted. Because it's the most iconic tank outside of a Tiger for Germany. One of the coolest looking tanks, or similar to tanks, self-propelled artillery, and it's just very cool and nice to play. But you literally can't play it because on BR3 it's, yeah, once again useless. So this is the biggest omission. These STUGs and the Jagdpanzers from BR4 and 5 need to be down tiered. If this happens, this update overall can be fine, also if the MKB is downranked. But without these changes, yeah, the update overall just has too many dumb holes that are completely useless. And now for the end, let's go to the Americans and the Japanese. Don't worry, it won't be that much because Soviet bias took like half of the videos and anti-German bias took like 40%, so we have only 10% left now. But here's the good news. It's going to be really fun to play low BR burgers because this Thompson is going to get down tiered. Yes. Now, for those who don't know, what is the situation with these Thompsons? Well, a few of those are BR3, a few are BR4, and of course the best one was BR5. Now, this Thompson sucked due to bad recoil. This Thompson is by far the best, most playable Thompson out of them all. Because on high BR you rather play the height, and the other Thompsons all suck. I used to play and recommend since the merge to everyone to play this Thompson because it's really, really good. It has very easily controllable recoil and a medium fire rate, making it even easier to control, and the high damage actually shreds enemies. This thing is going to be BR2 now. Now this is one of the biggest power level jumps of the overall update, because this is a good BR3 weapon, and you get a good BR3 weapon down to BR2. What does it mean? Yeah, it means the Germans will have a bad time and the Japanese an even worse time, because yeah, this thing is just way too strong. It's just way too strong. Yep, if you look, it's just yeah. Like if you upgrade it, it gets even better recoil. It gets a really good stats overall, and it gets insane damage. Only thing that for those wonder why can it be down tiered, it's the muzzle velocity. On even medium distance, if the target is running, the muzzle velocity becomes a problem. And if the enemy has fast reaction speed and shoots at you, you literally die first, because the bullets arrive faster. And the problem is in Enlisted, if the bullets hit you and you die, your bullet disappears from the game. So your bullet won't kill the enemy. And this happens much more often than you expect. Yep, so yeah, this is a problem, but I'm gonna play BR2 burgers a lot. You better believe it, I'm gonna play a lot of BR2 burgers. As you can see, I've switched to BR5 German, so I can play my beloved MG42. And to still enjoy the good Moscow maps, I play BR2 Soviets. And to enjoy the Tunisia maps, I play BR2 burgers. And now I don't even need to play BR3 for the Thompson. For the Thompson fun. Yeah, so yep, this is going to be cool. And for the Japanese, I play whatever. Since I have already so much BR2, I just switched up to BR5. But yeah, so yeah, like this is a very big change. Also, another hard-hitting change is the event squad with the silenced Stan, because this squad now officially becomes the strongest BR1 squad. Wait, am I too... Oh my god, wait. Yep, this... I hope you gambled away your family fortune to get a squad as GAIJIN intended, because one of the coolest and most fun BR2 squads will be BR1. And yep, this thing will shred. This thing will absolutely shred. The Stan is normally at BR1. This Stan is very similar, but has a silencer, so bots won't react to you. And it's of course very cool and fun to roleplay with it as a commando unit, infiltrating the enemy lines. Honestly, I'd rather play this than Partisans. It's much more fun to play a cool unit like this. And this will actually be really good. On BR1, this will be an insanely good weapon. And of course, you get all the advantages of being able to build stuff. Also, since the Burgers and the Britbongs are gonna get the new Ampulle version for them, they will get even better, well, not this squad, but the Flame Trooper squads. Now, don't forget, for those who have the squad, to take away their bazookas or whatever they come with, and give them a BR1 weapon, so they actually BR1, because many new players get confused, because they forget to take away the anti-tank weapons very often. Also keep in mind, you can play flamethrower, flame trooper squads and machine gunner squads on BR1, as long as you just don't use the high-tiered weapons. Because, for example, if you have this squad and you want to build the HMG nest, you can play the squad on BR1, you just give them normal weapons. Weak weapons, for example, the machine gunners can get the normal rifles, that's not a problem. Or you even take out the machine gunners completely and just play the rifleman instead. So yeah, the structures of these squads are quite valuable on BR1 and quite useful, so don't forget this nice little trick. Then some little other changes, and now another big winner, and actually the nation that's the only like very, very big winner, well, together with the Soviets of course, are the Japanese, because they had some of the most brain-rotty tech trees in the game. Now it's great for new players because there's so little stuff. Here you can easily grind to BR5. Just look at how few rifles they have. Look at how few SMGs they have. Yeah, you can literally grind them in like 1 month. Yeah, so it's quite good, but lots of, you can see the if you click too often on the research stuff, you get this bug where you don't see the stuff anymore. Well, not good, GAIJIN, not good. Many of these weapons were quite unplayable, especially the planes. For example, this plane that can't shoot because it literally only has one tail gun, a weak machine gun, will be BR2. Finally, this was absolutely unplayable. And things like some other planes will also get down tiered. And for example, this one here. Yep, look at this. Like, what the fuck? By the way, this is officially the strongest Japanese attacker plane. Japanese literally doesn't have, the nation famous for its planes has literally the worst plane tech tree in the game. And nope, buying premiums won't even mitigate this. You only get you only get fighter planes onwards. And I'm afraid the new jet plane will also be in a fighter. So you literally will have your best attacker plane being a BR3 plane, which also, by the way, is barely playable at BR3. Because, once again, you only have 2 little machine guns in the front and 1 heavy bomb that's nerfed. So, because too many whiners in the game. Too many 12-year-olds whining. So, yeah, like, these buffs to the Japanese stage tree were absolutely necessary. Because they have so much unplayable stuff. These planes were basically all unplayable. Also, it was hinted at that there will be something done regarding the carrier takeoff that makes these planes even worse and makes them completely unplayable. Now, I'm afraid the hinted change will be to make everything. I hope it's not, because here's the problem. Dumb people want to nerf everything instead of making things better. Why? Because they're emotional animals and human brains have a much stronger sensitivity for negative thinking than positive thinking. As most animals have, because it's how you actually increase your chances to survive in a natural environment. If you think more about threats than thinking about how to improve things, which also requires abstract thinking, then you're actually going to survive. Problem is, if you have these 12-year-old Fortnite children of Karens play a game, and if you let them comment online on forums and Reddit, instead of thinking how to make things better, which they won't, they will constantly whine for nerfs. This is how you know you have a dumb fuck player base. And out of experience, I'm afraid, the change will be to force American planes to either also start on carriers, or to give them some distance penalty in the beginning of the game. Something like that. So yeah, like instead of just making things better and buffing the Japanese planes that absolutely need it, I'm afraid everything will be made worse by being slowed down. So yeah, yeah, like this is the sad state of affairs. But yeah, now another good thing for Japanese is the Type 4 rifle will be BR3, which will be officially now the best BR3 semi-auto rifle. This thing was actually really good. It is a very good rifle. It has some of the best sights in the game. It has 10 rounds, it's fast, it's precise. It's a delight. It's very fun to play it. And it has a bayonet. And this rifle in BR3 officially better than the Garand, which was the best BR3 rifle. Now this will be even better. Yeah, this can't be understated or can't be overstated. These changes are very strong, very strong. And of course the Type Otsu will be also BR2 now. Yep, very much needed because it's literally just a copy of the Type Hei, which is already BR2. Yeah, a very logical change. Alright, that's it. That was already ridiculously long. In the comments, write what you think, because this is just a insanely big update and many changes. I recommend just write every change you think you need should be done. I'm gonna read all of your comments and then make a post in the forum for GAIJIN to change things. Yeah, also I recommend you to, of course, spam yourself in the Reddit and forum, because they don't look at the quality of posts. They don't even look at the upvotes of a post. That's official policy. They don't look at upvotes. Literally all they look at is how often was the topic spammed. So if all of you, or even a couple dozen, spam, alright, STUGS go down to BR2 and 3, this go there and so on, then GAIJIN will actually listen. And this time I even have a bit of hope, because since it's 5 days until the update, there's easily enough time to make some reasonable changes. Also things, by the way, like the premium rocket tank for Germany. Like, what the fuck, this thing is BR4. It's literally unplayable. Every time there is a sale, I test it in the practice range, hoping it became somehow playable. Nope, it's not. It has BR1 stats, and it has BR3 weapon. So this thing would be let's put it this way. This weapon, this thing is so bad, it would be playable at BR2 for fun, but not even for power gaming, and it would be too weak for BR3. Yes, and this is a very expensive, especially relative to how unplayable it is, premium item. So if GAIJIN was a bit smart, this would be down tiered at least to BR3, but as I recommend, down tiered to BR2, and then some people will actually play it. And honestly, if I'm an American or Russian player, Soviet player, I would be happy to see Germans play this in BR2. A, because it's cool to see rare stuff, and B, because this thing is not strong. This thing is not, like, if I want to win, yes, all my enemies are allowed to play this in BR2. It's absolutely not a problem. But yeah, just fucking downrank it so cool things can actually see some play, because people want to have fun in the game and not just have the monotonous slop that's usually the case. Alright? That's it. As usual, of course, like and subscribe if you're new to the channel, but of course like and share this with all your nerd friends, so more people hear this and we get more pressure on Darkflow to make some good changes and before the update next week. Until soon, goodbye.